I know a lot of people want to be the superstar diva DJ or producer and like pretend that they're all that in a bag of chips, but sometimes that doesn't work. And like that only works when you're already at the top. And even then at the top, you could get a reputation for being a little bit of of an a-hole, right? Hey, what's up? Welcome back. It's been a while. I've had a lot of stuff going on. We had Miami Music Week, and then I started doing some personal stuff for, just personal things. And then I got sick. I'm still a little sick, so excuse the appearance. I got baggy eyes. I'm all sweaty and stuff. But this video is long overdue because I've been wanting to talk about this thing that happened to me on Miami Music Week for a while now. And I touched upon it a little bit on my Instagram. If you go to my Instagram now, you can check it out and see what exactly happened. But a lot of people were asking, how exactly did it go down? And what I'm talking about, of course, is my performance at the all-day rave, which was organized by the DJ producer Maddix, who's blowing up right now. And the great thing about it is that after our show together, that weekend, he performed on the main stage at Ultra for the very first time. So it was such a cool progression to see someone who's really become a friend of mine now, and someone who I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with his team now, and I speak to them and stuff like that. It's nice, man, and it was very exciting because aside from the entire week being great for me and for all the other DJs that were in town, it was so cool to be a part of just Maddix's journey in Miami. And I want to tell you how this came about. So on my Instagram, I kind of like gave you the rundown on how it happened. Essentially, I got a text message from Maddix's manager, Mono, who is a friend of mine. And he was asking me if I was available that Thursday afternoon to open up for Maddix at his all-day rave. And the all-day rave is a cool concept. It's basically Maddix DJing the entire time. And instead of different DJ sets, like, typically it's like an hour one DJ, an hour another DJ, it's different DJs that he's going back to back with each hour. And then it started off with Johann Schuster, and then it ended with an epic back-to-back with Armin van Buuren, which is amazing. And in between, he had like Lily Palmer and a whole bunch of other awesome artists that are also blowing up too. Other people that were performing at Ultra. It was an amazing party. The crowd showed up basically right when the venue opened, and it was really fun. So anyway, I got the text from Mono, and he was asking if I was available. He wasn't sure that I was going to get the slot, so he told me, look, it's not a positive thing, but I want to know if you're available just in case. And of course, I told him I was available. Now, at the time, granted, I was not in Miami. I got the text when I was in Orlando with my family. I was taking it was my daughter's birthday. And, on my kids' birthdays, we like to go to Orlando, to the theme parks, Disney World, Universal Studios, all that stuff. So it was my daughter's birthday, and we wanted to go to Orlando just for a day or two in the middle of the Miami Music Week madness. I had DJ'd an opening party that Monday, and then the next day, we went to Orlando. So I told Mono, yeah, I'm available. Let's do this thing, And he was like, okay, I'll confirm with you once I am able to confirm with the venue, because the venue had somebody in mind, but I guess that fell through, and they wanted to make sure it was someone that could bring out people. And I did tell him, like, hey, you know what? I don't know if I could bring out that many people on such short notice. It was like a 2-day short notice thing, especially for a ticketed event. Takes a while to build up for those ticketed events. But he said, don't worry about it. The tickets were selling fast. The surprise guests were doing more than enough of the heavy lifting to get the crowd there. And Maddix himself is really pulling big crowds as well. So he really didn't have a problem with that. All right, so I go back to Miami, and I get the morning of Thursday morning, because the show is Thursday afternoon. Thursday morning, I get a text from Mono saying, hey, green light, we're good to go. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. I start preparing my set. And maybe like an hour and a half before I leave my house to get to the venue, he tells me, "Hey, play Credible, please." Like I could see that he was a little scared because he had never heard me DJ. And we've been friends for many years, but he's never actually heard me actually DJ. So I knew he was a little nervous. I knew he was worried. I was totally confident. I even responded with confidence. I mean, I'm pretty confident in my DJ abilities, not to sound arrogant or cocky or anything like that, but I felt pretty good. The only thing, though, is that he did tell me that he wanted me as an opener to touch on like the high BPM tech house. And I was already going to do some like really deep, dark techno, hard 140 BPM techno. And then I asked him, look, this is kind of where I was heading. He's like, yeah, you could throw that in there, but, we also want a little bit of the tech house, the high BPM tech house. So within like 20 minutes of leaving, I put together all my high BPM tech house into a playlist, export my USB, and then I head over to Wynwood to Mad Live, I think is the venue, which is crazy because Maddix played at Mad Live. I think that was a funny little coincidence. And I get there, and I'm saying hi to the staff, talking to everybody, and setting up, and yeah, I'm ready. Like I was ready, I felt ready, and then Mono comes in with Maddix. Maddix is tour manager, and Maddix is video guy, and we just talk, and everything seems really cool. Maddix is super nice, says thank you. I get in touch with their video guy, with the tour manager, and I told him, listen, I'm a pretty easygoing guy. If you need me to do something, get off early or go a little longer or whatever, let me know. I have more than enough music to fill many hours, even though I'm only slotted for 1 hour. You got me. I'm here. I'm basically trying to be as professional and cooperative as possible, right? So, the doors start opening. I forgot what time it was. I think it was like a 1 or 2 p.m. And quite literally within like a minute or 2 minutes, the place was packed. I think there was a line outside, which I hadn't even noticed. And I noticed a lot of friends of mine that go out to some of my shows or that I've seen out and about at different shows in the crowd. So it was like a cool surprise for them and for me to see that going on. And you could see from the clips that it was awesome. I have so many cool videos and so much good content from that afternoon and that evening. It was so much fun, man. And then that night, I also had another gig too. So when I left, I was able to go straight from one gig to another. It kind of felt like I was like the superstar DJ, like the dreams in my head of double booking during Music Week, 2 really big gigs with big names on it, which was great because later that day I was able to DJ with Jason Brown and a whole bunch of other friends of mine. That was awesome. And DJ Ideal, who was at Ultra as well. It was a great experience. Just that one day of Miami Music Week. And even though this part was all documented on my Instagram, you go on my Instagram, I go through this whole thing. I got a lot of questions about how did the connection with Mono, with Maddix's management happen? And it's really funny because there was no plan to like leverage my relationship with Mono to play at Maddix's show. Granted, I always make myself available to my friends in the scene. Mono's a great friend of mine, and I've always told him that I'm available for him for whatever he needs. And he kind of was like, you know what? Because you did me a favor, I want to throw you a favor, and I want you to open up for this amazing event. And he had a lot of control over it and all that stuff. So I am so appreciative and so grateful for that. And I think the overall thing that, the message that I want to send anyone that's asking me, how did that relationship come about, is just honestly be friendly, be nice. Being nice takes you to a long way. I know a lot of people want to be the superstar diva DJ or producer and like pretend that they're all that in a bag of chips, but sometimes that doesn't work. And like that only works when you're already at the top. And even then at the top, you could get a reputation for being a little bit of an a-hole, right? And I always like to think about what some of my other friends in the scene, people that have been successful, what they would do. And I could now count Maddix as somewhat of a friend of mine, not as close as other DJs, but definitely one that I could, reach out and speak to if I ever need advice or anything. And he's been nothing but nice to me and very receptive. But I always try to think of what he would do. Laid Back Luke, another friend of mine, what they would do at their level when people ask them questions and come up to them and try to talk to them. And I try to always keep that in mind because, a lot of times in this game, you're going uphill and downhill. And there's multiple hills that you're going to be doing that on. And sometimes on the way down, you'll be seeing people on the way up and vice versa. When you're on the way up, you'll be seeing people on the way down. And you never want to punch your way down, right? And you also never want to ruin an ascent by being the a-hole. So I always try to be as nice and receptive as possible. And with Mono, we got to meet because one of his artists, Loopers, who now goes by the name The Caspian, had a big blow up back in like 2010-ish, I want to say, 2012-ish. And his friend, Kid Kayo, had come to Miami a few times to DJ at events with me. And when Loopers came for One Miami Music Week, Kid Kyle told him to contact me to pick him up from the airport. And when I did that, we became friends instantly. And to this day, we stay in contact. He's now out in Thailand. He was originally based in the Netherlands. Now he's out in Thailand. And then the next year, he came again, and he introduced me to his manager. And his manager was Mono, and his manager had a ton of artists already that he was managing at the time. Billy the Kit was one of them, big-time Dutch DJ producer. Holland Rush, who, if you remember, did a lot of stuff with Fetty Legrand and Cascade. And they all needed a place to stay. So I rented a big apartment on Miami Beach during Music Week, and I had them all stay over. And then every time I go to ADE, Amsterdam Dance Event, I always link up with Mono. So this is like a friendship and a relationship that's been going on for probably more than a decade now, which is crazy. All this to say that really it's about being nice, being friendly, and kind of linking up with people that you just naturally connect with. Me and Mono connected over us being dads. Us having, similar mentality and approach to music and life and just society and just, good conversation. I'm a conversationalist, so I appreciated his conversation, and I'm sure he appreciated mine. And, those relationships kind of flourish into something very special. And the way to get to have those relationships really is kind of put yourself out there, Go to Miami Music Week. Go to Amsterdam Dance Event. Go to the International Music Summit at Ibiza. Go to anything that that people that you are attracted to, that you are associated with, that you kind of have a little bit of a relationship with already. Go to those places and foster those relationships. At the end of the day, these relationships are like, plants. You got to water them. You got to make sure that they flourish. It's like a relationship with anybody. Yeah, this is more of a professional, more of an artistic and creative relationship, but it's just like having a regular friend or even family members. If you don't talk to them, you don't speak with them, you don't go out with them, you don't check up on them, the relationship tends to whittle a little bit. So, make a point to maintain those relationships. Just check in on your buddies, check in on your friends, and you never know when an opportunity like this, something like this, will come knocking at your door, because you always want to take advantage. And yes, it's a little bit of luck. 100%, it's luck. Almost everything in this game is luck, but luck is a little bit of how you prepare to receive that luck, right? Like, I would have never been afforded this opportunity had I never been Mono's friend, for example. And I never would have been Mono's friend if I wasn't Looper's friend or Caspian's friend. And I would have never been his friend if it wasn't for Kid Kayo being his friend, And from that group, I got to meet so many DJs and producers like that Dirty Dutch crew, DJ Chucky, Afrojack, those guys. I also got to meet a lot of local like Dutch local DJs like Artistic Raw. I got to meet great songwriters, people that have written songs for Chris Brown and Afrojack and Rihanna. And I'm talking about my buddy Crazy, who rolled with that group as well. And I'm still friends with them today, and I still message them today, and I still try to keep up with them today. And that's the point, I think. That's what a lot of the questions that I've got, I was like, but how did it come about? How were you friends with Mono? How did you do this? Were you friends with the management? And how were you friends with Maddix? And it's really all about being at the right place at the right time and putting myself out there. So I try my best not to miss an ADE. I try my best not to miss a Miami Music Week. And if I do, it's for, a really good reason. Like I've missed ADE recently because my son was born, and I missed last year's Music Week because my daughter was born. So, missing one or two of these events isn't going to make or break you, but just make it a point to go out there. That's how these relationships are built. That's how these DJs break through. And, I hope this kind of opens up a little bit of a pathway in your mind as to how you're going to get to the next level. And I want to know what you are thinking. I actually want to know where you're at to try to get to the next level, because currently I'm trying to break into a higher level myself. So I would love to do this together with you, and I would love to share stories with you and see how we're navigating this DJ world together. And I think building a community like that helps as well. Community, friendship, relationships, all that stuff matters, along with the talent, the creative vision, and all that stuff. So fostering all those different pieces and just being an all-around good, friendly person will take you a really, really long way in this industry. At least it has for me. So I hope this bit of knowledge helps you. And of course, again, I want to know where you're at. I want to know what you think. So leave me a comment below, and I hope to see you out and about on the dance floor. Peace.